Wow, it's actually really scary. Here I am announcing that this is what I'm going to do. And I don't know what it's going to look like. And I know it's going to be the death of many parts of me. But I also know it is so important if I want to keep growing and if I want to become who I really am. I have to do this. And I can't and I won't avoid it or ignore it anymore. Hello, everybody. So this is the video where I'm going to share that thing that I've been saying I was going to share, but I was kind of scared to do so, and I kept postponing it. It's actually huge for me. I'm shaking, I'm even a little bit nauseous, and it's big for me. Wow. I've been doing all kinds of things like setting up and then like, oh no, I'm going to go do this before I sit down. Oh, there are many mosquitoes. I must find some oils so they don't distract me. Oh, I'm going to do this. It's like I am avoiding this to the depth of my being. Okay, let me put a little bit of context of how this started. So a few weeks ago in a morning meditation, I had these insights of how to bring together all the things that I've been experiencing and sharing. And now there's a sun and there's rain starting. Fascinating. Let's see how hard it rains and if I can stay out here. Fascinating. So I had this pouring of clarity, if you will, that all the things that I've been learning and sharing could all be shared under the umbrella of the law of becoming. And as soon as it came, like I started making notes and notes and notes, and the whole thing came together beautifully. And I was super excited, and it was like, this is it. I have found how to present my thing and make it a thing, and it's going to help me move forward and just presenting with more clarity and have more clarity within myself and all that. Well, 3 hours after that meditation and writing all this down, I was scheduled to be on a Zoom call with Dr. Kim Deramo of Mind and Body Medicine. It's a group call, so I jumped on, and she was talking about various things. And at some point, she mentioned that we might become sometimes jealous or envious of what other people have. And I chimed in the chat and I said, yes, this happens to me because I'm trying to build this YouTube channel and make it grow, that I get these little twinges of envy when other people have it and it's not happening for me. And she read my comment and she answered it in 2 ways. First, she said, okay, when this happens, instead of having the feelings of envy and why them and not me, just right away say, me too, yes please. And I made a short about this. So that was the first thing that was helpful, and I thought, cool, I'm going to use it, and I have been using it. You've got this, I would like this, so yes, me too, please. And that puts us in a space of openness and receptivity instead of contraction and all of that. The second thing she said is that success, or how things work, is we have to connect to our heart and to the love of the people you do what you do for. And she went on talking, but this just sat inside of me. And it became the question, why do you do what you do, Annie? The Zoom call ended and I was left with this question. And having posed it clearly, I could feel that the answer was going to bother me. So I figured I'm going to let it linger. I'm going to let it float around. I'm going to walk around with it in my mind without focusing too much, just to kind of let it sit and settle. but I knew something was going to come out of that. So I went to sleep that night with that question in my mind. Annie, why do you do what you do? The next morning, I woke up, decided to go for an early hike, and during the hike, I was repeating that question, being in nature, not focusing on it too much, and some answers came, but they were like tepid. They were timid. They were not like a burning fire inside of me. I do this because. And then I started imagining, so who do I do this for? Why do I do this? And the tepid answers were to help people connect with who they are, to give people permission to have these questioning of themselves and their lives, and to see their lives in a different context. But it's just kind of generic. There's thousands of people that talk about the same thing. And then it hit me. Who am I passionate about helping? And it's women who live with chronic illness. Why? Because it's the story of my life. It's my life experience. It's what has formed all my patterns and my identity and just what I have lived. And I know and I feel that the workshop we live is the workshop we are meant to give. But I have avoided talking about this. I mean, I sprinkle it here and there and mention it. But I never wanted to actually really dive into it. And for anybody else who lives with chronic illness, it's something that we want to kind of acknowledge but put aside because we want to live our life, and that's like the part that's aside. And the fascinating thing about this epiphany is that it's the third time in 5 years that I have the same epiphany. The first time was 5 years ago. I was in B School, Marie Forleo's online business school for women entrepreneurs, all entrepreneurs, but who really have a sense of purpose that they want to offer to the world. And she had made us do a lot of work, but some of it was to find our uniqueness and all these things. And it struck me, oh my God, I am building this entire program business, and I haven't even mentioned that I've lived my entire life with chronic illness since I was 11 years old. One day I'm going to share that story. Now it's going to come soon. And that was like this crazy epiphany. I called it the elephant in the room, those things that we don't want to look at. And I shared a couple of videos about that epiphany in the group, and they're actually on my YouTube channel. So if you want to check, I'll put the link. They're the first videos at the beginning of the channel. And it was a grand epiphany. It was like, wow, now I know. I know this is why things have not worked out for me professionally, and what I need to focus on. Then life happened, having to move, just life, and this whole project came to nothing. Life continued, keeping me away with perfect reason, perfect excuses. And then I think it's in 2020, fall of 2020, I started working with a coach, and we had come to the conclusion that maybe it was time that I stopped focusing on the us of my life, businesses to build as us and whatever focus I was putting there, and focus on what I needed to do for my own growth and my own evolution. And after some work, I had the same epiphany. Oh my God, I have to come out and talk about this. And that video is also, no, it's not. Yes, it is. Sorry. I'm going to put the link to this. And I thought, okay, I'm coming out and I am finally going to start talking about chronic illness. And by that time, I had read about HSP, highly sensitive person. And that was another miracle in my life of discovering this, and that I am a HSP, and it helped me reframe my entire life. So I decided I'm going to include that with the chronic illness thing I want to talk about, and HSP. I also have a sense that a lot of HSP women have chronic illness issues, and I want to talk about this in the future. So I did like 2 videos, I think, on my YouTube channel. And then I got a phone call. We were living on Vancouver Island. My husband was working in Florida. I got the call. He's in the hospital, stage 4 cancer in his spine. He needs surgery in 3 days. Just hurry up and come on over. I mean, that overtook my life for a long time, of course. And by the way, yes, we separated a few months ago, but he is stable, he is well, he's working, and he's enjoying his life. So life happened, and I put that aside again. And then comes this time, 3 months ago, separation. I'm doing it for my evolution. And I start sharing this experience on the YouTube channel, which is where most of you have come to know me. And then just a few weeks ago, this epiphany again. It's like, Annie, you are avoiding this again. And so here I am. I know this is a longer video. I shouldn't apologize for that. Not apologizing. Watch it in 2 times if you need to. So I want to share why it scares me so much. Why I was shaking all morning, trembling and feeling nauseous, and the mosquitoes came and distracted me. So I narrowed it down, narrowed it in 3 reasons. The first one is because if I make this the core of my message, of my channel, and have everything I want to talk about orbit around that center, then it means that I'm going to have to look at all of it inside of me. And even though I've done a lot of inner work, I know that I haven't focused on that in the way that story needs to be heard inside of me. I'm going to have to stand naked in the mirror and look at everything about this. And I realized that even though I've done a lot of inner work and I've stood in the mirror naked, I've always had a few strategically placed fig leaves just to hide the most tender parts. And this time, it's going to be all off. I'm going to have to practice radical honesty. No more avoiding. No more going in 90% or whatever percent, but actually just diving in. So that's one of the big reasons it scares me, because if I start this, I am going to have to look at it all. And that is super scary. The second part is that I believe that if I do this work of being open, radically honest, and sharing about this and stop avoiding this in my life, I believe I'm going to heal. I believe I'm going to find success. I'm going to feel fulfillment, and I'm going to become abundant. And that means the death of a bunch of parts of me that believe that's who I am. That who I am is the struggle, the courage, being brave, and the overcoming. Once I'm healed, fulfilled, sharing wisdom, and abundant, it's no longer who I am. And after having done recently all this inner work, I know that all my protective patterns, because of my chronic illness and HSP-ness, my identity has been built around this. So I actually feel the terror inside of the imminent death of all that I've known myself to be, all that I have thought of who I am. I mean, the truth is, without the struggle, I actually don't know who I am. It's a me that has never existed in this world, in this reality. And it's terrifying because it's totally unknown. It's a weird thing. You would think that letting go of struggle would be easy, but there is so much truth to the idea that we identify to even the parts that we wish we didn't have in our lives. The third reason why it scares me, and why I've been saying in the last few videos that I was just not ready to do it and that it was causing me some anxiety, is because I don't know what my videos are going to look like. I don't know the content. I don't know how I'm going to stand. I don't know really what I'm going to stand for. I don't know the tone it's going to take. I just don't know. And starting something, as I'm sure many of you know, we always want to be prepared before starting something. And here I am announcing Wow, it's actually really scary. Here I am announcing that this is what I'm going to do. And I don't know what it's going to look like. And I know it's going to be the death of many parts of me. But I also know it is so important if I want to keep growing and if I want to become who I really am. I have to do this. And I can't and I won't avoid it or ignore it anymore. So, just to end on a note that is for you, my old format, I don't know. But it's the idea. And that's what was in my first video from 5 years ago. This thing in our life that we keep avoiding, that we keep zigzagging around, like skiing on bumps, the moguls. And the more you go like this, the more you build up that thing that you keep zigzagging around and skirting around. And it becomes this obvious thing. And at some point, you just can't not look at it anymore. You still have a choice to keep around it and zigzagging around it. But the hill's getting higher. And I've come to a point, no, I didn't want this to be about me. I wanted to do the end about you. So that's my message. Usually the things that we avoid are a key to our greatest growth, to the unknown of becoming who we truly are. So I offer that you take a look in your own life and look at what you've been avoiding, because you might find freedom in there. Freedom. That's what I'm going for. I'll see you soon. I love you.